Now, this is Mark Lawrence, who you've had 2 big successes with before, Music and Lyrics and 2 Weeks' Notice.
That's right, yeah.
So did you hear his name and kind of go, oh, yeah, I'll do that? Or was this a heavy sell to you?
Well, it was only slightly heavy in that I don't do that many films, but it was such a good script, and I love Mark, and yes, I thought I could be good.
And you are.
Did they offer you a lot of money?
That means yes.
Well, sometimes that is why we work, of course.
Well, not me, love. I'm just in it for the love of acting. I've always... No, it's my blood, really.
But I read in interviews saying how you sort of helped work the script and develop the script.
Yeah.
Did you, any of those terrible kind of Hollywood executives, because they're really cringy kind of Hollywood meetings, did you bring many of those experiences to the script?
Well, I've certainly had them, as much as anyone. I mean, my very first encounter in Hollywood, before I ever got any success, I was out there auditioning for some film, and I was in this office one-on-one with this very distinguished producer-director, and he wanted to just hear me reading, and so I started reading, and he was a sort of man in his 60s, silver-haired, and I got about halfway through the first page, and I just saw him out of the corner of my eye stand up, and then he started to go, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And then was sicker than any man I've ever seen in my life. It was like a cat being sick. It was... It was literally... You know, you read about projectile vomiting. But he did. He was on the floor, and I had to sort of... didn't know what to do. I'd just arrived in Hollywood the first time in my life, boy from Hammersmith, to sort of pick him up, and he filled the waste paper basket with puke. And anyway, I thought it was my acting, but it turned out to be Mexican food he had.
Did you get the job?
Oh, yeah, I got the job. Oh. But I slept with him, which I think was...
And you, I'm guessing you were offered the part, but you didn't say yes.
Well, I mean, it's a funny thing when you're coming out of a big franchise, you know that your name carries a certain amount of value to it for a certain while for reasons other than acting. And I want to make sure that the director who's working with me wants me to be there for the right reasons and knows what he's getting. So I asked to audition, and, you know, he saw me and didn't hate it, and now we've made the film, so...
I would only say, in mitigation, the price you're paying is the hair. That's the price you're paying for your being public. But early on, didn't you... What was the audition where you went, you had to... you dressed all sexy?
Oh, yes, that was... yeah. I went... It was very early on, so maybe my 3rd or 4th ever audition. And I was going to see a really well-known, well-respected theatre casting director, and I was so excited. And I had this script sent through, and the character was quite a raunchy hooker. So I bought some fishnets, and I had a top as low as I dared and a short skirt, and I wore a big duffel on the way there. And when I got there, I took it off. And she sort of looked at me, and then and I was thinking, well, that wasn't the reaction I was hoping for. And then she was saying, so what did you think about the character of Matilda or something? And I was thinking, I don't think that was the character I was looking at, Dan. And this awful sort of half an hour of sort of trying to pretend that I knew what she was talking about. And then she realised I hadn't got the same script that she had and passed over the real script, which was about nuns. And I've never been in to see her again. I wondered what I was doing.
That's the best story I've ever heard.
I didn't get the job.
Because, Alan, didn't you have a weird weight thing?
I did. I got asked to go for an audition for a part, and I turned up and I met a guy in this kind of ante-room outside who I knew, who's huge. He was a really big actor. I said hi, and hello, and then another guy came in who I half knew, and he was also enormous. And I looked round, and everyone was enormous. It was quite cramped in the room. There were some snacks, they'd all gone. I said, what part are you here for? And I can't remember what it was now, Roger or something. And I said, yeah, I'm here for Roger as well. And I went in, and there were 3 people, and they looked up, and they looked down, and they looked up again, and said, have you lost some weight? And I said, no, I've always been this shape. Oh, OK. Well, you may as well read it anyway. I said, really? Do you want me to read it or eat it? Shall I just eat it?
Dear. Miriam Margolyes.
Did I tell you last time about when I did an audition for Crossroads?
No, I don't think so.
Well, for those of you who may remember, Crossroads was a soap opera, which took place in Birmingham, and I went for the audition. And I'm pouring this all over myself. It's rather exciting. And as I was waiting for my turn to do the audition, my period started. And I thought...
Period.
Don't you call it that? Period. Don't you call it that?
No, I just thought I'm on the rag.
This is
On
terrible.
the rag.
Very in between.
Yes. How you doing, Dominic?
Doing okay.
All good there? Yeah. Okay.
Really comfortable.
Okay. So.
Be brave. You don't want to talk about period.
No, I do.
Be
I don't like
brave.
periods.
It's all right. It's all right.
So meanwhile, back in Birmingham, Miriam
Yes.
just had her period.
So I went to the ladies' room, and in those days there was a long box on the wall, Dr. Southall sanitary towels, and you put in two pennies and pulled the little drawer and got out the carton. Am I right? You remember all this, some of you. And
people applauding. Oh yes.
so I put in my 2p, pulled out the little drawer, and it snapped back with my finger in it. So it was really painful. It tore a great gash in my finger, which was so sore, bleeding all over the place. I managed to pull open the drawer and extract my finger. I rushed into the loo and fixed myself up, came out again and went in and started to read for the audition. And I noticed that the script was covered in blood. And the people I was auditioning for noticed it too. And they looked at, and I saw them looking, and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You see, my period started..."
Did you get the job?
I did, actually.
You got the job! Yay!
I'd never met Leo or Baz Luhrmann or anything, and it was a sort of pretty scary one.
But didn't the audition, like, what scene were you auditioning with? Keep up. Cue anecdote.
You have editors on this show.
So we had to do the scene where Daisy kisses him, and, you know, you don't just kiss Leonardo DiCaprio, so... we were sort of halfway through the scene, and I was sort of, like, here.
Yeah?
Oh, sorry!
keep going. Stay in the moment. Sorry, keep going. You can use my head as
So I was like here. And then I was like... oh, sorry.
You
I was like, should I...
Did you drag her up? Did you drag her up?
I didn't know if I should kiss him or not, so I sort of got that, and then I sort of asked Baz, should I kiss him? And he was like, yeah. I just did it, and then I got the job.
Yes, hey.
That's how you get it.
Hey. You're all good. Yeah, good at the kissing. Yeah.
And she was fantastic in the movie.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And what is the story that at the audition you weren't a Star Wars aficionado when you auditioned for this?
No, I hadn't. Thanks for bringing this up. I hadn't seen any of the Star Wars films.
Not a single one. That's a disgrace.
It was a disgrace. I know.
Yes.
I know. I was like one of the 5 people in the world.
Yeah.
Well, no, Gloria, you've only seen how many? Have you
The
seen?
first one, and the second to last one.
Second to last one.
Yes.
Oh right,
did
that
not
put
see
you
the
off.
Well, I did bookend it, so that's...
Yeah, no, exactly. You followed the whole story.
Yes, I did. As long as Chewbacca's in it, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And he's in it. He's all over this one. You'll like this one. So you hadn't seen any of them, and yet you rock up for the audition.
I rock up for the audition, and could you put that on the thing? Because my...
Of course I can.
Yeah.
Just safety first.
Sure.
Thank you. Story time. So I was going to the audition, and I thought, I'm just gonna... This character was amazing. She's a revolutionary. She's really cool, and the dialogue was amazing. But it kind of said, just in one of the stage directions, droid. And so I was like, droid, droid? What's a droid? And then I Googled droid, and then nothing much really came up, weirdly, just pictures. There wasn't explicitly it was a robot. And I was in the taxi on the way to the audition, and I was like, I really should know what a droid is. And I was asking my taxi driver, he was like, I don't know what a droid is. And he called his family, like, what's a droid? And the more, like, I didn't know, the more panicky I got. And then I got to the audition, and I was like, I'm just going to play it like a human, because the chances are it's a human. Because most of the times when you audition, it's for humans. Yes. So I went in as a human, and I did the audition. They were like, the guys were like, oh, that's really great, thank you. Could you try it a bit more droidy? And we were like, what sort of droidy kind of vibe do you want? And luckily, one of the directors went like this. Honestly, I saw his hand. He was like, a bit more like... And I was like, robot. Full on, like, I know what they want now. They decided they didn't need it to be droidy at all in the end, so I think it might have worked in my favour that way. So.
And now, Michael, you've never let yourself down, have you, at an audition?
Many a time have I let myself down.
At an audition?
Oh, at an audition. Well, I quite early on, I had a big break where I got to go and have an audition with the head of Paramount casting. So the whole Paramount studio, the head of casting.
Wow.
And at the time, this was many years ago, and my daughter was only little then, and she'd had a bit of a stomach bug. And her mother had a bit of a stomach bug as well. But I was fine. I was fine. So I drove down to Paramount Studio. I'm sitting there in the waiting room, and I'm thinking, oh, I might let myself down here. And I went in you come, Michael, and I'm sitting there, and this is my big break, head of Paramount Casting. And as she's talking to me, I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to throw up any second. And I said, I'm going to have to stop you there, because I'm going to vomit. And at that moment, I projectile vomited all over her office. I'm running out of her office into the waiting room, vomiting over everyone, into the bathroom, all over the bathroom. And I'm cleaning up my own vomit on my knees. And that was my big break.
Good. It wasn't all bad, because you got to be directed by Robert Redford.
Oh, yeah,
Basically, Robert Redford.
Yes.
But now, apparently, the first meeting with him didn't go that well.
Well, I didn't audition for it. Somebody else saw me. I first saw him on set. I turned up on location and saw him coming out of a trailer, and he went, Brenda! I thought, oh, this is Robert Redford. And he came over and he gave me a big hug and nearly winded me. He says, let's talk about this character. And we went inside his trailer. He says, now this woman, she works hard. She knows work. And if things get tough, she just, I said, well, gets on with it. He said, excuse me? I said, she just gets on with it. He said, oh, yeah, that's right. He thought I said, oh, get on with it.
Yakety yak, yak, yak. That is so cruel. Because, Amanda, you went to LA to do kind of a big bunch of the auditions, didn't you?
Oh, God, yes.
But, like, high-profile ones.
Oh, big, really exciting ones, and ones with Quentin Tarantino, and I think I was quite close to Anchorman. Really weird things, but I always remember the funniest thing that my English-American agent said. She's one of those people that talks like that, but she's British. And she said, darling, it went really well today. And I was like, oh. She said, the part is 70% not yours. That's how they speak out there, right? Don't they? Yes. There's no yeses and no nos. So I was like, well, that's 30%, like, that's crap. They clearly haven't got the job.
You always get told you're in the mix.
Yeah.
Like a bag of Haribo.
Yes.
You're in the mix.
And now, Michael, you've never let yourself down, have you, at an audition?
Many a time have I let myself down.
At an audition?
Oh, at an audition. Well, I quite early on, I had a big break where I got to go and have an audition with the head of Paramount casting. So the whole Paramount studio, the head of casting.
Wow.
And at the time, this was many years ago, and my daughter was only little then, and she'd had a bit of a stomach bug. And her mother had a bit of a stomach bug as well. But I was fine. I was fine. So I drove down to Paramount Studio. I'm sitting there in the waiting room, and I'm thinking, oh, I might let myself down here. And I went in you come, Michael, and I'm sitting there, and this is my big break, head of Paramount Casting. And as she's talking to me, I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to throw up any second. And I said, I'm going to have to stop you there, because I'm going to vomit. And at that moment, I projectile vomited all over her office. I'm running out of her office into the waiting room, vomiting over everyone, into the bathroom, all over the bathroom. And I'm cleaning up my own vomit on my knees. And that was my big break.
Good. But the Pulp Fiction thing, so that, actually, 20 years ago this year, isn't it? 20 years ago, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
So that part written for you, but even at the audition.
Yeah, even at the audition, when it was down to me and another actor, one of the producers came in and they were about to introduce him to me. He said, you don't need to introduce me. I love your work, Mr. Fishburne. Okay, fine. And I went in angry and got the job. And I also had the privilege of firing that producer from another movie like 4 years later.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it was great.
That's a good feeling.
It was kind of good.
When I was 10 years old, I was playing in a football game, rugby league, actually, and I tackled this big fat kid right round the ankles, smack, went down like a sack of Bad luck, fatty, thanks for coming. And as I'm getting up from the tackle, he fair income just kicks me in the face. Just like he wasn't used to being tackled, obviously. He just turned around and just went boom, straight in the face, kicked my tooth out. And I just had this, like, strange thing where I never got it fixed. It used to drive my poor mother crazy. Like, just please get your tooth fixed. But I was like, no, Mum, you know, this is my life. This is something that's happened to me. I wear the scars and as badges of honour in my life, Mum. And she's like, you know, it drove her nuts, you know. It took until I was, seriously, right? And I was working as an actor, right? I was doing stage work, I was doing TV work with one tooth. And then I worked for a guy called George Ogilvy, and he cast me as the lead in his movie. And he sat down, he was talking to me, he said, so tell me the story about the tooth. So I went through the thing, football game, blah, 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 you know, being authentic and all that sort of stuff. He goes, oh, see, because we have a problem. Because in my movie, the character of Johnny, the one you're playing, he has 2 front teeth. So he paid for me to get a tooth after, you know, himself, not from the production budget. And the funniest thing is, man, and I know you're going to find this quite obvious now that I say it to you, but, you know, I did 100 film auditions and never got a film. I got my tooth fixed. Whoa!
That weird thing, going auditioning for things, you know, you prepare or you're right for it or you're wrong for it or everything. But Luke, like, to audition for something like Dracula, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, I'm going, like,
well, yeah.
What did you do?
Well, I did my meeting on Skype, this, the 21st century way of getting a job. And I've got fangs. I have natural, quite large,
Actually, you really do.
enhanced canines. Yeah, I'm looking at myself now. Yeah. They are quite large. And during the Skype meeting, I sort of kept leaning in and going, And you know, on that first day when I actually did meet them all, I was expecting to bring it up, you know, that, you know, we did notice your fangs, and they hadn't even noticed I had them. And then they noticed every day while we were shooting the movie and asked if I could keep taking them out, but they were actually mine. Yeah, weird.
Jamie, so you did the stand-up, you did the music, but then along came the acting. Now, was the first big audition for Any Given Sunday?
First audition for Any Given Sunday with Oliver Stone, which was crazy because when I did the audition, he after I did my audition, he says, "Well, you're just terrible, aren't you?" And I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you stink." And I was like, "What?" And as I'm walking out, he's writing in his tablet and says, "Jamie Foxx, slave to television." And so I leave and I say, "Look, I don't want to deal with this dude." And then I get a call that says he actually wants you to come back for the agent part. He likes you. I come back and I'm pissed. I'm like, "Yo, man, you know, I was really pissed at how you said, you know, I was this way." He says, "Yeah, well, you know what? I need someone to play the lead part because someone else was going to play it and they fell out. We need you to play the lead part." He says, "But you got to get better." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You're a television actor. And television actors are loud while movie is more, you know, subtle." So I couldn't get it right. But what I did was, as opposed to doing all of the readings and stuff, I was playing a quarterback on this football team, this young, black, cocky quarterback. So I went and made a videotape of me just as the quarterback. And we did this whole, like, I made up this practice session, and we made up a song because my name was Willie Beeman. So I ended up getting the part because of the tape, but I learned about being a television actor, and even to the point to where I actually went to audition for Jerry Maguire. And the story with that Tom Cruise is doing, you know, Jerry Maguire. Yeah. So they had, the guy sees me read in LA and he says, yo, I want you to go to read for TC in New York. I said, who? TC. I said, all right, Tom Cruise. And I was like, oh, Tom Cruise. So I go to read, but as I'm reading, I'm loud. Show me the money. You know what I mean? Right? That's all I'm saying, brother. Show me the money. Right? And so
I know, Tom, it was really good. So yeah. I thought that was great.
And then, but wait, Tom Cruise reads his line, but it was like this. So I thought he lost his place. Because I couldn't hear him. So I said, we right here. He says, I know, I said the line, I'm waiting on you. I'm like, oh. So now I'm sweating, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I done lost my place, I done went blind, the whole night. Anyway, I didn't get the part. And, you know, of course, you know, Cuba Gooding got the part and he won the Oscar. But I had to learn how to bring it down. And then later on, I did Collateral with Tom Cruise and then got nominated for an Oscar.
Same year, you won.
Yeah.
Double nomination.
Yeah.
What gives, Eddie Redmayne?
Oh God! But you know what? For a few years there were the Harry Potter films. There was a whole family of ginger people, and I thought that somehow I might be part of that at some point. Never happened. And then The Hobbit, when after the Lord of the Rings, that, you know, they were auditioning for The Hobbit, and I was sent an audition for Bilbo Baggins. Which shows that they were really casting the net wide. And I went to this audition, and I'd been really rigorous about it and didn't want to you know, just do my usual boring thing. And so I went on YouTube and I found Ian Holm, who had played it in Lord of the Rings, and I tried to copy his character. And I arrived there, and the casting director put on the camcorder, and I started reading the scene. My name is Bilbo Baggins. It's like... I thought it was being brave, you know, like being bold. And before the word Baggins would come out of my mouth, she said, no, own voice. Own voice. I never got a call back.
I think that's good to tell that story, because you always hear these famous stories about like Elijah Wood dressing up as a hobbit and filming himself out, you know, on the moors somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to get that part. And you always hear about these. You always hear the stories of the actor being brave and really doing something kind of mad to get a part, and you're like, I'm gonna do that. But they never tell you the stories about the actors who did something mad, and they're like, what the? Then that's you.
Because Liam Neeson, presumably you don't audition for anything now.
Never, darling.
No. But in the past, in your youth, you did. Was it The Princess Bride, where you were called in?
Oh, yeah.
To be a giant.
Yeah, and Rob Reiner, the director, whom I'm dying to meet someday, because I will pull him to task on this. This very sweet casting director, I forget her name, lovely lady. She got me in to meet Rob Reiner for The Princess Bride for the Giant. And I cycled in from Putney and locked up my bike and got in, and, you know, what do? Take 3 deep breaths and you walk in, and Rob Reiner said, I asked for a giant. What are you? I said, 6'4", you know. That was it. There's no hello, how are you? Thanks for coming. Rob, come here.
You will find him.
I felt bad. I really felt for the casting director. She just wanted the ground to kind of swallow her up.
Who did get it?
Andre the Giant, God rest him. Yeah.
They should have just gone to him, really.
I know.
The clue's in his name. So, Melissa, what is the story when you and Bridesmaids and a dolphin?
Oh. Well, first of all, that makes it also sound real, like I got into it with a dolphin. Oh, God, it was in the audition, and part of it ended up in the movie. When I went in, Kristen Wiig and I were improvising, or we were reading a scene, and I've known her for forever, and the scene was about me falling off a cruise ship. And because I'd known her so long, I kind of forgot about it being an audition.
and I was perhaps a little too comfy, and she was like, so we started improvising, and I may have told like an 8-minute story about having a sexual encounter with a dolphin. And I talked about like fin play. And it went on for a really long time, and I feel like I went into some kind of weird blackout, and all of a sudden I realized like, oh my God, there's people sitting in chairs 2 feet from me, literally judging me. And that's what I decided to like dazzle them with. And I left, and I was like, the whole way home, I was like, you gotta get weird. You always have to get weird. And you're talking about screwing a dolphin. I got really specific. It was just awful. And then when I actually got the part, I was like, are you calling the right person? Like, I was so confused. I thought for sure they'd never speak to me again.
And you didn't meet the Colman brothers. You filmed yourself?
I did an audition in my hotel room, yeah. I sort of did a little sort of selfie audition.
What, on your phone?
Yeah. Technology. Yeah.
And what did you do? What did you give them?
I gave them angry. It was the scene from the movie. It's angry American.
And did you have a friend holding the phone, or did you really hold it out like that?
I had a friend holding. No, I did. Yeah, my friend did. I did 2 actually. I did one audition where I was so excited to get to audition for the Colman brothers because I never thought I'd get to, send them anything that they would see. So I did an audition after a dinner where I'd had a few drinks with some friends, and I was a bit tipsy and thought that would be a great time to do the audition because when you've had a few drinks and your accent is better, generally everyone agrees. But when I have to do American accents, I drink. No. So I had a few drinks, and then I was like, God, maybe she should be eating, because that's... Brad Pitt does that, and that looks great. So maybe I eat all the time in films. It's like a really drunk audition where I was eating this chocolate bar and was literally about to press send and send it to Joel Cohen, and my friend was like, maybe wait. We'll see it in the morning, and then, thank God...
Save it as a draft.
Yeah. Use it as a rehearsal, and then I did another one.
Because, John, you did a bit of directing. You directed on Sky.
Yeah, I did the Little Cracker, which is a thing that they have on Sky, where you do a little 15-minute thing, and it was it's supposed to be about your own childhood. So I did something about when I was 13, I sold teddy bears door to door and made my first £100 selling teddy bears that we made in this factory that my dad had. So I had to cast. I said, I'll do it, but I want to write it and direct it. So I had to cast somebody who was a teenage version of me. I thought, I've got a house full of them. So I auditioned my own kids to be a younger version of me and didn't give them the part. I give it to another kid whose mum I knew a while ago, but I haven't seen her.
Chris Pratt, you apparently like getting naked, and at one point you tried to turn that into your source of income.
What? Well, not. I've always,
I'm really happy that question wasn't for me.
For a while, I stripped for money.
Bless you, I love that.
Successfully?
Well, I mean, if when you need $40 and you get $40, I consider that success. I didn't do it like... it never got, like, uninnocent. You know what I mean? Like, I actually did it maybe 3 or 4 times and then decided I was going to go and, like, audition at an actual nightclub, like a strip club for men, and with male strippers, And I went and I did an audition, but when I was there was, like, a guy sleeping in his car waiting for the club to open because he was a dancer there. And I just felt this darkness that I was like, this is about to turn... This is like going from funny storytelling thing that in 15 years I can tell on the Graham Norton show to, I could be that guy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. So, anyways, moved in with the guy in his car. And roommates, and he's now my manager.
That's worked out well. Anyway, Redmayne, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And you were on this programme, I believe, moaning about not being in Harry Potter. Did J.K. Rowling hear you?
If so, thank you, Greg. That's like the greatest talk show ever. Maybe, who knows?
Because you were annoyed because, I mean, there's even a ginger family in Harry Potter.
True. I would say disappointed rather than annoyed.
You said something like you were the only actor in Equity not to be in.
Literally. But yeah, because all our friends were in it, or at least getting auditions. But then I had actually had an audition to play the young Voldemort while I was still at university, and it was with the sort of assistant of the assistant of the assistant of the casting directors, and I don't think she even allowed me to finish the audition. So it was a sad moment.
Oh, her loss.
This is a big moment for me.
Yeah.
Let out the anger.
Yeah. Your whole career has been leading up to this moment. Look at me now! Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Whoopi Goldberg, your first big film role, your first Oscar nomination, Colour Purple.
Yes.
Now, the audition for that, for Steven Spielberg, did you do, like, a whole show for him?
Yeah, I'd been doing my show in New York. And when we were just about finished, my manager said, Steven Spielberg can't make it to the show in New York. He'd like you to come to L.A. and do your show at Amblin Studios, which is his studio. And I was like, what? They said he wants you to come. I said, but why? I said, because he wants to see the show. I said, oh, okay. Because I thought they were kidding. And so when I got to Los Angeles and got to the studio, I thought, oh, maybe this is real. And so I go in. His secretary comes and he comes and gets me, and all I can think of is, oh.
Wait, there's like no other people there? I mean, how many?
No, it's just...
There wasn't like a sound stage and like all of Amblin and
they took me
friends.
right into his office.
He's sitting there.
He's sitting there and he's smiling at me. And he said, I want to see your show.
Come on.
But I swear to God.
Come on.
So this is what happened. So I did the show and he laughed a lot. He liked it. And then he said more. And I had been instructed not to do any more than the show.
So what happened?
Well, I had one more piece called Bleetee, B-L-E-E-T-E-E, about what would happen if E.T. landed in Oakland. Now, Oakland, California, at the time was a very, it was a rough area. Phones didn't work, so it was a whole thing. So Bleetee lands, he meets these two kids, they take him to the projects. He wants to phone home, no phones work on the side. And he then falls in with some guys who are running prostitutes, and he gets a jerry curl. I don't know if you remember, jerry curls were, black folks had this thing where we would put the stuff in our hair and it made it look wet and drippy. And he had then a powder blue suit and he was running horse. And when his people came to get him, he shot him up. He killed him because he didn't. he didn't recognize his people. And the whole point of doing Bleetee was to remind people that it's okay to assimilate, but you can never forget who you are. So he's on the floor, and I'm thinking, this can't be good. And then he said, I want to talk to you. I want you to play Celie in The Color Purple. And I said, come on, man, what? And he said, yeah. And I burst into tears, and I said, I think I could really suck at this. And he said, have you sucked before? Said, I gotta tell you, yeah. He said, well, then this one won't bother you. And that's how I got to make that movie.
Wow, and I'll be glad. Yes. And auditioning for the show, though, so you did one kind of normal audition, and then second audition in at the deep end.
Yeah, so second audition, they gave me some additional, scenes to learn, and they said, they'd like me to do a birth scene, and they'd like me to improvise, particularly with the birth scene. I was like, OK. So I went in and there was the director there, the casting director, and, you know, I had to improvise bursting with quite stern faces. And, you know, I think I just became more of a cheerleader than a midwife, because at this point I'm still auditioning and I'm like, that's it, come on, you can do it, that's it, that's it. And I quickly just sort of went over to the clamping and cutting of the cord and, oh, you've got a beautiful, you've got a beautiful baby girl.
You got the part.
Yeah.
Some births are easy.
Yeah.
No, they can't all be big dramatic ones.
Exactly, exactly.
Depressing news, everyone. 20 years since 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Crikey.
Now, I'd always assumed that was written for you.
No, I had to audition, and in fact, I was very much unwanted. Richard Curtis, after the audition, did everything in his power to stop me getting the part. And it was a very traumatic audition. I remember going, and for some reason it was at the Jim Henson studio, you know, where they make the Muppets. And we were actually in this great big studio, and so I was auditioning in front of director, producer, writer, and 50 full-size Muppets. And it was unsettling.
And what did you have? Did you have a video of your best man speech or?
That's right. Well, I thought I'd made rather a funny speech at my brother's wedding, so I thought I'll take that along and that'll charm them. But in fact, I think it slightly sickened them, because they were looking for someone kind of more middle of the road, and I think I looked really sort of hoity-toity, up my own arse, posh. So, but anyway, I got the part in the end. I think they couldn't find anyone else.
But